What's up, guys? Welcome to the Peer Review Podcast. My name is Caleb Davis.
And my name is Brett Sherwood. And we have some notes for you all today. But, first, let's get into it, chop it up a little bit. We're coming off a great win from the Lions on Sunday, which we'll get into more later. Not repping the merch today, but as always, have my sign in the background. But Caleb, how's your week? How are you doing? What's up?
Uh, Things were pretty good. This weekend was a little busy. I had my event. Here on campus. I'm the president of a business org, the Multicultural Business Students, and we had our leadership retreat. It was our 26th annual event, and basically we take students off campus for professional development and networking, and they get to be face to face with companies and representatives. And it was a good turnout. It's a lot. I had to get up at about 5:30. Drive like an hour away, so that was up early, and I was up from like 5 to 11 p.m. So like it was a long day, but glad it's over. Had a good time, and then not much with the rest of my weekend. Hung out with some friends, and then the Lions game, and we're gonna get into that a bit later. But I almost ended up leaving at half because I was, like I said, it's been a long week and I was tired. But something told me stick around, and I am very very glad I did. But how about you, Brett? What's new with you?
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Where was the conference at?
It's called the Kellogg Biological Station. It's like an hour off campus. It's like these cabin properties. It's a research facility basically, and they like I don't really
Okay,
know what they do, but that's the extent to my knowledge. But it's a
cool.
very nice area.
Nice. Yeah, that's what's up. But yeah, I like what did I do this weekend? I didn't really get into too much, honestly. Like I was just um, I had a meeting for some political work that I'm trying to start doing a couple days ago, which is pretty interesting. And then obviously, just like I have an exam I study for that's next week on Monday. Excuse me, next week on Wednesday. But I've been like studying for that. Trying to stay on top of things. And I got nominated to receive an award on Wednesday through the Ross Office of Undergraduate Programs, which is pretty cool. So the work that I've been doing there,
What's the
I'm really
award?
grateful to be recognized for that. I'm not sure yet. Like I guess I'll just know when I go, but like
Is it like a
from my
scholarship?
understanding, it's more like recognition for like my job, like for being a mentor for the preparation initiative program. I'm assuming because that's like the only thing that I really do for the Office of Undergraduate Programs. So like just for like the work that I've been doing with helping students that want to transition from other colleges and want to like apply to Ross and stuff like that. I serve as a mentor for the program. So
That's what's
apparently
up.
somebody wanted to nominate me for awards. So yeah, shout out whoever did that. Appreciate you.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate
I
that.
want to hear when you receive the award. I want to hear more about it in the future. Uh, but for today, guys, we have a couple topics in store. We're gonna start with the Lions' comeback win against the Texans. We referenced that a little bit in the opener, but it was a great game. If you didn't have the chance to sit and watch it, I definitely recommend going and watching the highlights, even though that won't do it justice. And then we move on to the Chiefs and their win against the Broncos. They blocked the field goal to survive the game and stay undefeated, which was just insane to watch and to hear about. And then we're going to move over to the NBA, and we're going to start with injuries around the league because they're starting to pile up, especially with star players, and it's kind of changing the outlook of a lot of these teams' seasons moving forward. Then we're going to have a quick discussion about Jokic and the possibility of him winning his fourth MVP in 5 years. And then we're going to finish off with some Pistons talk. We're going to talk about Cade and just how he's been this year. So we can go ahead and get started with the Lions comeback win. Brett, I'm going to let you kick this one off. I guess, did you expect us to win that game? And what do you kind of think? What did this game tell for the Lions moving forward?
Yeah, man. I think the biggest key takeaway, and then I'll get into some things, specific things I think happened, like, is that this team can win without playing our best football and without like everybody says our identity is formed by the run and offensive line, which I 100% agree. But the offensive line really immensely struggled run blocking. The Texans were also just doing a great job fitting the gaps every single time we were trying to run the ball. Um, and they really limited Montgomery and Gibbs on the ground. And we were also without our starting left tackle Taylor Decker. who wasn't having a great season, but he's still like a solid veteran and definitely more than formidable starter in the league. And like when you lose your left tackle, your quarterback's blind side, that makes a huge difference.
It
Goff
showed.
was under pressure a lot. You know what I'm saying? And when you put all those things together, all these negative external circumstances, you tell me that our starting left tackle is going to be out. Goff is going to throw 5 interceptions, and we're only going to score 6 points in the first half. I think we lose that game like 99.9% of the time. And the fact that we just somehow found a way to win, I think, is phenomenal, and it just shows testament to what everybody's been saying, man. Like they're all about grit, and Dan Campbell has really been building that mentality into his team over the past 4 years, and it's extremely exciting to see people like the way that they're just able to find a way to win and make something out of nothing, So
Yeah, and I guess the word that kind of encapsulates this entire game was grit. You know, the Lions fought back, and like the Texans came out and they were unveiling their new red jerseys, which I hate. Just for the record, I hated those jerseys.
yeah, I wasn't a
I
fan.
was not a fan. But the crowd was engaged, the energy was there, and they came out looking like world beaters. The Lions got hit in the mouth multiple times. That first pick kind of swayed the momentum, and things just looked really bleak, especially with how we ended the second quarter. Going into half, things just did not look good. And like I said, I was with some friends. I was ready to call it quits. Something in me told me, stick it out. But I
Yeah,
think
yeah. I mean, 7-23 isn't like an insurmountable lead in the NFL. That's one thing.
it's
Like a
just
lead is like never safe.
the momentum just didn't feel like it was there that game. Like
Mhm.
those because the picks were, some of them were unlucky, but it was just gut punch after gut punch. But like I was saying, I think a comeback like this just shows the Lions' capabilities moving forward. I think that it takes a championship level team to be able to undergo these type of circumstances and find a way to dig deep inside and fight back. I want to give a huge shout out to our defense. They got worked in this game. Like they had to work so hard. They were on the field for the majority of the game. I think it was like in the middle of the fourth or something. It showed like the possession game and like how long their offense has had the ball versus ours, and it was like 23-35. It was something like it was
Yeah, we for
very.
sure greatly lost the time of possession battle. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just couldn't imagine. Like it takes stamina, and they were working their butts off. We came out of halftime, and as Dan Campbell's talking about, we need to force some picks. We need to get some turnovers. We get a pick coming out of halftime, and that kind of it started that run that we saw for the rest of the game. But I just want to give a hats off to our guys. Like we played great we didn't play great, but we played great when we needed to, and we fought back. And that's a game. Like if you're a Texans fan or player, I know you're
Oh
sick
yeah.
walking away from that. If you before the game, like you said, if you were to find out that Goff was going to throw 5 picks and you lose that game, like that's something that's going to keep you up at night. And I know CJ, I know he feels some type of way. I think it Tank Dell who we had like wide open in the end zone, and he tried to be like cute and have all that air under that ball. And
Yeah, and Carlson Davis picked it off.
yeah, like I
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
that's gonna haunt him a little bit because I think kind of let his foot off the gas there. Because like he wasn't under pressure. It was just like he was trying to be cute about it. Like they had that big lead, and I think he thought I'm not gonna try and put myself in his head, but just situations like that brought us
Yeah,
back in the
yeah. He's
game, and
like he's like screw it. He can go up and get that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you left just enough time for Carlton Davis to get there, and he made a play and an amazing play because he had to recover for that. He was sprinting full speed, and I don't know. I'm a happy Lions fan today. Like I said, I got my shirt on. It was a good win, great way to end my Sunday night. But yeah, I think we're gonna talk about the Chiefs in a second. But hey, it's looking like there's gonna be a face-off in the near future. But did you have anything else you wanted to kind of mention from this game, or?
One more quick thing. Yeah, just the addition of Zadarius Smith. He didn't play, but one thing that the people were talking about, and they interviewed him again at the post game thing, and are like, tell us what it meant for you to be on this team and for you to interact with the teammates on the sideline, like coach them up and stuff like that. And he seems like he's a great fit already here in Detroit, and I love that for the team and for him. And it's just really cool to see. And he was saying like, yeah, like it's just like a blessing to be here. And he was talking about how he's like coaching up some of the guys on the sidelines and telling them like, hey, like y'all got this. Like just listen to the protection that Houston is calling and make the play accordingly. You know what I'm saying? He seemed like very knowledgeable about the game, and like just like a very like perfect like mid-season vet trade that like we needed, I think, to push our defense over the top. And I'm really excited to see what he can do when he comes up back and plays next week as well. Because we gave him that rest for the bye week because we traded
Mm-hmm.
him. He was supposed to have the bye week because the Browns were gonna have it that week.
And yeah, I had one more thing too. I don't know if you guys saw like how many Lions fans were in attendance at this game, and he was kind of a big spark for like getting the crowd back in the game. I don't know if you saw, he was over there pumping up the crowd, and he just did a lot. Even though he wasn't playing, like for energy and character wise of this team. So I'm really looking forward to when he's inserted into the lineup. But
Most definitely.
moving forward, we're gonna have a little bit of Chiefs talk. They just continued their winning streak. They're now 9-0 after surviving against the Broncos. This game was kind of ugly. I'm not gonna lie. There wasn't a lot of offense taking place, and both teams had insane defenses during the game, so it was kind of to be expected. But I think I just want to start with the Broncos. I think the biggest thing for them, they missed 2 field goals in that game, and stuff like that is gonna come back to bite you. And getting your field goal blocked in those last few seconds, I don't know what type of dark voodoo magic the Chiefs have going on over there, but they always seem to find a way to win in games like these. And I think that just comes down to their experience because they've been there before. They've been in these situations. They understand how to win games. They understand how to win championships. And teams like that, they have a switch they can flip in situations like this. And time again this season, they've showcased it. And that's how they keep dragging out these wins. When they're on the ropes, they just always, it seems like they always find a way to fight back. And this season, it's really been about their defense because their offense has not been amazing. Patrick Mahomes has not played super great this year for his standards. Like he's at a career low in touchdowns this season, his lowest quarterback rating of his career, passing yards, and he has 9 picks halfway through the season, which, like I said, is for his standards, he's playing below his means. And then Travis Kelce, he isn't the stat stuffer he used to be, but he's still formidable when he needs to be, and he can turn it on. Like they have that experience, kind of like I'm not saying Travis Kelce's LeBron, but same way he can kind of coast and then in big moments, kind of lock in. That's kind of what I've been noticing. But the Chiefs look like they're gonna go all the way as well. And this game, like I didn't get to watch it live, but I got to see the highlights. I got to talk to some people about it, and it's exciting for both teams. Like if you're a Lions fan, if you're a Chiefs fan, you can only be happy because when your team comes out and you play pretty bad and you get a win, it kind of feels like you cheated, and not cheated, but you kind of cheated the jaws of defeat basically, and
Yeah,
you're always happy with that.
most definitely. Because everybody knows you can lose any given Sunday. So no matter how people try to spin, oh, the Chiefs are the most mid 9-0 team of all time, like the worst than like the Steelers were when they were like on an undefeated run. It's like well, at the end of the day, like they didn't lose any single game, and like teams get upset all the time every week. So I think that's still a testament to how strong the defense is and to the coaching staff. I think that, like you said, championship caliber regimes find a way to win no matter what's going on. So and that's what they continue to keep doing.
Uh, is that all you had on there? Excuse me, is that all you had on the Chiefs game though? If not, I'll move forward a little bit.
Yeah. I guess the only other thing I would just say is that I think Bo Nix actually really impressed me in that game. I think he struggled a little bit during, um, like in fleeting moments. But holistically speaking, I mean, he was 22 for 30 with 2 touchdowns for rookie QB going against one of the best teams, well, the best team in the NFL. I think that was a very great showing from him, and I'm excited to see his growth going forward. And I think he's probably going to be one of the best QBs from this draft class.
It's a fair evaluation. But moving forward, we're gonna switch over to the other league, and by that I mean the NBA, and we're just gonna kind of start with the injuries that are taking place. If you haven't been following the NBA as of current, they're about 10 games into the regular season. The NBA Cup games start tomorrow, but there's been a trend that we've both kind of noticed as the season's progressed, and it's injuries to these star players. I'm gonna just list out a few injuries, and just to kind of paint the picture for you, as to what all is going on around the league. But we start with Chet. He just fractured his hip. It was literally yesterday. I have him on my fantasy team. It was very unfortunate. I ended up losing this week by like 40 points. Very close. He could have provided that. But, you win some, you lose some. And then moving forward, you have Ja Morant out with another hip injury. Desmond Bain with an oblique injury. Marcus Smart, ankle sprain. Jimmy Butler, ankle sprain. KD, left calf strain. Zion, hamstring strain. Paulo, we've been mentioning him a lot, but his torn oblique. Kawhi, out with the knee injury. And it's just, kind of feels like these injuries are starting to really pile up. And it sucks when it comes to star players on pivotal teams. And this has kind of been something that's been happening that I've been noticing since I've been kind of watching the league. It feels like every other year. Because last year, every team, for the most part, was pretty healthy. Every other year, you have a bunch of these star injuries. Because if you think back 2 years ago, you had Brian and AD super banged up. You had Kawhi and PG super banged up. You had Devin Booker super banged up. I don't know what it is, but I kind of want to pose a question to you, Brett, because I mentioned a few of these injuries to players on the Thunder, Grizzlies, Suns, and Pelicans. And how do you think these teams are going to fare without their star players? And I guess you can start it off with the Thunder. How do you think they're going to perform without Chet? And then we can kind of bounce back and forth and go down the list.
Yeah, I think even without Chet, they're still one of the better squads in the West. But also, like, I mean, you said it in previous videos. He was definitely like in the running to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. And his paint presence and spacing that he offers for his 3-point shooting, and what he brings, like, on all three levels on the offense, really will be sorely missed. And I don't really think that they have like a true. They don't really have like a true center or a really shot blocking center, at least that can like replace what he does like at all, in my opinion. So it's like it's definitely gonna be a hole for sure, I think, for the next 2 months. But I think they're going to win enough games to not be out of like the hunt per se when he gets back. I think they'll still be like, you know, third to fifth ish, roughly, depending on how it shakes up. But I don't think they're gonna like go on any like insane losing streak without him. Just because I think SGA is strong enough. Because I mean, he had been playing up to that level before Chet even got there. So, and when he was injured last year.
I think these next 2 months are going to make or break Shea's MVP case for the season, or at least bolster him up. Because imagine, I just want to preference. So start by saying this: the Thunder, I don't believe they have a guy over 6'8" that's healthy on the roster right now. Like, I think they have like a rook. Oh, he's not a rookie, but I forget how to pronounce his name. But he's a small forward. He's like 6'8", 6'9". But they even having him play like backup center, and that is just not going to get it done. So I don't really know if they're going to try and call some people up, or some 10A. I don't know who they're going to get to play center as of right now, because Hartenstein's still out for a while. But I think if they can stay top two, around top 2, 3 in the West, preferably like 1 to 2, Shea's still going to have a really good shot, and it's going to look really good for him. And we're expecting a lot out of him. Like, the Thunder aren't really they're still a young team, but they're in that championship territory now. They're not still a young and fun team. So we're expecting a lot, and I expect them to keep winning. But it definitely hurts losing Chet. I think he was playing like one of the top 15, 20 guys in the league this season. He's been amazing. So you can't understate that. Moving on to the Grizzlies, though. I mentioned earlier in the video, but they're down Ja Morant, Marcus Smart, Desmond Bain. That's their starting point guard, shooting guard, and small forward. And it just feels like these past few seasons, like, they can't catch a break with the injury bug. Guys are always hurt and in and out of the roster. And they started off the season really, really well, 7-4. I see that dissipating as time progresses, because it's just hard to win when you're missing. Like, I'd consider those guys probably their top 3 of their top 4 players. So it's just hard to win games when you're missing your best player, your second or third, however you place it. Like, it's just hard to win games like that. And I kind of see them dipping in the standings, and it just sucks for Ja Morant, because he looked really, really good this year. They've been keeping his minutes down, just because he does get hurt a lot, and injuries like this one wasn't even his fault. He got knocked out of the air. I think it might have been by Bron, but it wasn't his fault. It was a freak injury. But things like this happen.
Yeah,
Uh,
it sucks. because I feel like do they really even have like a real playmaker on their roster anymore? Because like now
Scottie
it's
Pippen
when we
Jr.
get
That's their.
yeah, and they got him feeding Zach Edey and Jaron Jackson Jr. I think it's basically like the whole offense. But yeah, I really wanted that one guy they just signed. They have done like a 2-way contract.
Help.
Yuri, like the Japanese dude. I really wanted him to be like
Oh,
sweet. But I think he still needs a little bit of development before like that's gonna take off. But we'll see. Maybe he'll get some more
he's about
minutes
to
now
play
that John
now.
Morant's
Yeah,
out. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
But for our next kind of banged up team right now, it's the Phoenix Suns, and right now they currently sit at number 1 in the West. KD was having an MVP caliber season. He looked like guys like him, Bron, Steph. I don't know. They're just defying the laws of Father Time. I don't know how they're doing it, but it's sad to see him go out right now. But do you kind of envision the Suns staying at the top of the West right now while he's out, or do you see them slipping a bit? His injury is supposed to sideline him for about 2+ weeks, so not super long. But how do you see them faring in that time period?
Um, I think it really just depends on how Devin Booker is gonna like carry like shoulder the rest of the scoring load for real. Because like I mean, with the volume of shots that KD takes, like you kind of have to figure out where you're gonna go. During those possessions for like what I'm saying. Like I feel like it's just like a whole. It's gonna look like very different
Mm-hmm.
based on like the amount of shots he's like allowed to take and like who's taking like the shots in those like clutch moments over the next 2 weeks. So I think that um, it's going to be back to like kind of classic Suns mode, and he's going to have to take the ownership of being like the number one option. And hopefully, Bradley Beal and Co can support him in doing that over the next 2 weeks. I don't think they're going to like fall off the face of the earth or anything. But I wouldn't be surprised if they went, right around like 500 over the next 2 weeks. Like they probably are going to like be relatively mediocre. I think they're not going to be as like um, dominant as I think as they were, just because of how like great of a season KD was having so far.
Yeah, you can't really replace that. And Devin Booker has not been he hasn't been bad by any stretch, but he's not been his superstar self. So I think he's up for the challenge. I'm looking for him to kind of lead this team in KD's absence. I think he's up for it. But with our kind of last team that's been super riddled by the injury bug, it's the New Orleans Pelicans. And I'm gonna kick this one off. I didn't have super high hopes for them. But I definitely like if you asked me at the beginning of the year, I definitely wouldn't have them at 3-7. Right now as this things stand, like I expected more from Zion. Once again, he's come back with this hamstring. Like he has another hamstring strain, and everything that's been coming out has it being pointed to conditioning. And this is like his 6th season in the year. I mean, excuse me, 6th season in the league, and it's like if he's still coming in out of shape at the beginning of the season, like there's just not much you can do with that. And I don't know how much more the Pelicans are going to take because you keep coming out year after year with these mediocre teams because your best player can't ever stay healthy. But to make matters worse, they traded for DeJounte Murray. He got hurt first week of the season, and right now, as things stand, they're currently out of their top 7 players. 6 of them are injured. So it's just gonna be hard for them moving forward. And all of the injuries are long, like bad injury, not bad, but like months long injuries. So I just see the Pelicans tanking, and I think you can kind of already write them off for the season. I'm not, especially in the West, I'm not expecting much from them. I see them as one of the bottom tier teams, which I don't know if they have their pick, but if they do, this might be really good for them. Might be able to capitalize. Is in this Cooper Flags draft class. I don't know. Tank for
Bro,
that.
it's probably gonna go to like some random team that had like a 0.5% chance, and like they were like
Get
not
yeah.
even like anywhere near the worst team in the league. I hate the
Yeah.
lottery system so much. That's a random tangent, but yeah.
I'm just if you want to have a positive spin on this, that's all I got for them moving forward right now. Um, but for our next topic, we're gonna kind of switch it over to the Denver Nuggets and talk a little bit about Nikola Jokic and this impressive season He's having. He's on track as things currently stand. If he continues his play to win his 4th MVP in 5 years, and it's just insane his production this season. I'm gonna read off his stats just to give you guys kind of a understanding of how prolific he's really been. He's at 29.7 points per game, which is 4th in the NBA. 13.7 rebounds per game, so he's leading the NBA in rebounds. He's at 11.7 assists, leading the NBA in assists as a center, mind you, shooting 56.3% from the field, 56.4% from three. So I think he's shooting the best in the league from three based on his volume, which is just insane as a center, mind you. And he has a 66.7 true shooting percentage. So he's just been amazing. And a lot of this has been without guys like Aaron Gordon has missed time. Jamal Murray has missed time already. And he's just been carrying this team night in and night out. Everything runs through him. Everything goes through him. And his production, he's been producing. Like, there's not much you can say about it. They've been in so many clutch games this year. I watch. He has the ball in the end, and he always finds a way to score. He always makes the right play. He always allows them to leave with the dub. And as of late, he's been getting production from guys like Russ, Christian Braun. But Jokic is just insane, man. Like, that's all I really can say about him.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's by and far. I think at the beginning of the season, I wasn't sure whether he was still going to be like the best player in the league because we saw how he had struggled in the playoffs last year. But I think seeing his play now, like you said, I think he's by and far like the best player in the league. Like you said, the efficiency speaks for itself. Leading the league as unathletic 7 foot center in assists is just insane to me. And yeah, like you said, his supporting cast has been playing surprisingly well. Like I think people, including us, were a little bit unsure of how he was going to fare with losing KCP, who was like very integral to their spacing. But I think they kind of figured it out with Westbrook. Obviously he's never going to be the most efficient guy in the world, but he's still contributing in a great ways to the team. As you said, Christian Braun has been great. MPJ's been stepping up. Jamal Murray's been playing pretty good. So I think they're as good as any other team in the West right now. And I think if Jokic continues to play the way that he is, expect them to definitely be a contender and be right back in the mix when that's all said and done.
And one thing that we kind of both touched on before the season was like his 3-point shooting, and he's answered that call like
Yeah,
fifty six point
56%
four.
crazy.
That's nuts. That's nuts. That's nuts. And
Yeah.
I don't want to downplay that. Like, that is an insane number. This late into this, like, it's not that far in, but we're about 10, 11 games into the season. That's a pretty. It's starting to be a large sample size. So
Yeah, that's a great hot streak. Yeah.
if he stays in the high 40s, look out, because the Nuggets
Yeah.
might
This
mess around and right back in the
what
mix.
would you say if his numbers stayed around like where they are for the rest of the season? Obviously, if 3 point percentage probably could go down like a little bit, like he'll probably be like you said, like high maybe 47, 48, something like that. But like points per game, rebounds, assists per game, the same roughly. Do you think it's one of the best seasons for a center like ever?
Yeah, definitely. And I think if they stay top three in the West, I think there's no reason. Like, I don't think you can give the MVP to anyone else. Just based on, I know the criteria changes every year, but it like the reason that he even was in the conversation for not winning the MVP is kind of that voter fatigue thing. Like, LeBron faced this a lot in Miami because if things were played the same, LeBron would have more MVPs than he did. But you don't want to keep voting for the same guy. Well, at least voters don't. Whether that's right or wrong, that's up for subjection. But that's basically what's going on here. So like the odds are against him to win, but like if he's producing like this, it's
You have
undeniable.
to give it to him. Yeah.
So I can't wait to see how this thing shakes out. The one thing I'm worried about though, with the Nuggets and especially with him, is just his workload because you're asking him to do everything for you, and you can see like even in the playoff run last year, he got gas towards the end of the season, and you're asking someone to do this year after year after year, and and he played in the Olympics. Like that starts to add up in those miles on your body. So he plays heavy minutes, like, he's getting to the 38, 40 plus every single night. And I know he's still like in the heart of his prime, but you kind of want to be cautious with that. You don't want to overexert your star because that could come back to bite you. So they still gotta,
Good
because
point.
every game the Nuggets have been in this season has been close, damn near, outside of like maybe 2 or 3 like blowouts against the bad teams. But every other night there's a game winner. So it's a lot, but hey, he's been keeping up with it. And for our last topic of the day, we just kind of wanted to show a little bit of love to Cade and the Pistons. So far in the season, I think they're sitting at what, 4-7, I believe.
Three and
Checking right now,
six, I think.
yeah, they're 4-7 right now. And they've been playing well. A lot of these games have been close. But I'll let you kind of kick this one off, Brett. How have you been feeling about Cade? Have you seen improvements? And I guess you can touch on the Pistons really quickly. But yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think he's been playing really well. You know what I'm saying? I think he's not turning over the ball as much as he was in like the first like 2 or 3 games of the season. He's still shooting really good. You know, he's like shooting like 48% from the field, about 40% from three. He's averaging like 24 points per game. And yeah, man, like I really think he's coming into his own this season, and like he isn't afraid to get down low, and get rebounds too. He has 7.3 rebounds on the season and 8 assists, and really trying to, I think, emerge as like the number one option, the clear number one option that we need to continue to do our best to build around in this new regime under Bickerstaff. But yeah, he just recently surpassed 3,000 career points, which is a great accomplishment too. So shout out to him. And then he also on Sunday he didn't get it, but the 3 games previous to that he had a triple double and like 3 back-to-back games. So I think is also very impressive. So it just goes to show you that like every single year, I think his production and his like impact on both ends of the floor are just increasing a lot, and I think that's like really impressive and something that you want to see out of your number one guy. And hopefully, um, my only like thing is like I really hope it doesn't turn into like we waste his prime like a Calvin Johnson or like a Matthew Stafford thing, because like it would just be sick where like once he reaches like the apex and like all of a sudden he's like a 30 points per game guy, with like 7 rebounds and 6 assists or something like that, and like we're just like squandering his talent because we can't put the right pieces around him. So I'm really hoping that um, we can find the right vets and also developing guys to put together a decent team that can compete in the playoffs at least within the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think the clock hasn't started yet on the Pistons, but this season I think they need to be in that playing mix in the East right now. But
Yeah, at least
as
they
far
need to at
as
least be competing. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, definitely. But and I definitely in the next 2 or 3 seasons you need to be in the playoff mix. But we're jumping ahead a little bit. I think the biggest thing for Cade this year though has been that extra spacing. They've brought in all these shooters to kind of accommodate. I wouldn't say his weakness, but last season it kind of was a weakness of this roster, shooting. So they've kind of addressed a lot of those weaknesses. Like Tim Hardaway Jr., he's been he's been streaky, but he's been really good for us. Tobias Harris has been okay in spurts. Malik Beasley okay in
yeah.
spurts, but it's just more
But at
shooting.
least they're names and guys that like the league at least believes can shoot,
Yeah.
so it still spaces out the floor more than what we had before. Because we had
hmm
freaking Hamadou Diallo and like Isaiah Stewart out there, like bro, like nobody's scared of them shooting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I kind of wanted to touch on a few key points with Cade this year. I think the biggest thing that we've seen a leap in from him is his defense. I didn't realize how versatile he really was. Like he literally has been guarding 1 through 5 this season. Like in the Lakers game, there was times where he got switched on to AD and AD couldn't score on him. There was times LeBron got switched onto him. LeBron couldn't score on him. He's been guarding like all the premier guys. He's guarded LaMelo, guards Jalen Green. Like whenever there's a marquee matchup, he's guard like especially at the end of games, he's on the best player. I don't know if people have been noticing, but I don't think that's by mistake. And also, like across his game, he's just become a better playmaker. He's a better finisher, scorer, like shooting, like just the shots that he does take. He's been very efficient outside of the turnovers. That's the one thing that he definitely needs to clean up. He's like at the top of the league with turnovers right now. But the last thing that I've really been noticing from him is his leadership. Like you see games where it's close and Isaiah Stewart will get a random tech for no reason, and you see him like walking up to him like, "Why are you doing that? Like we're winning this game. Like you're costing us, you know." And he comes up and guys understand and they respect him and they're like, "Okay, like that's my bad." And they'll take the accountability. Or you'll see a bad turnover from one of his teammates. He'll go talk to him like, "It's okay, man." You know, just trying to help that morale. Like I haven't seen like when JB like Bickerstaff, he's yelling at the refs. Cade's grabbing him like, we don't need to do that. Like it's a close game. We don't need a tech and stuff like that. It's just it speaks volumes to his growth and his development and the type of leader he is and is going to be in the future. And I'm expecting a lot. I think he's on a superstar trajectory. He looks insane, and right now he's a crazy triple double threat. So I'm very excited for him and the Pistons moving forward. But I think that's all we have for today. If you don't have anything else on the Pistons front, Brett, so if not, I'll let you go ahead and take us home.
For sure, yeah. We just want to thank you all so much for tuning into the Peer Review podcast today.
Please make sure to share the podcast with your friends and family, as well as follow us on X at peerreview_pod and on TikTok at Peer Review Podcast to stay up to date with our latest episodes and releases.
And we just want to let you all know again that we are personally monitoring all of our accounts, and we love to continue to hear feedback. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Want us to cover any different topics or any different sports? Let us know. You know what I'm saying? We also have some great ideas cooking for the future, so please stay tuned. We're gonna do some fun things. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. This is the Peer Review signing off.